The Cessna 172 is an all-metal, high-wing, single-engine aircraft and is equipped with tricycle landing gear. The aircraft is powered by a 4-cylinder engine rated at 180 horsepower at 2,700 RPM, and the engine is equipped with a carburetor. Fuel is delivered to the carburetor by gravity flow from the fuel system and is then atomized, proportionally mixed with intake air and delivered to the cylinders through intake manifold tubes. The proportion of atomized fuel is controlled by the mixture control. Conventional hinged ailerons and single slot type flaps are attached to the trailing edge of the externally braced wings, which also contain the fuel tanks. The tail assembly consists of a conventional vertical stabilizer, rudder, horizontal stabilizer and elevator. The aircraft has a manually operated elevator trim system. Brakes, test and set. The two main landing gear wheels each have a single disc hydraulically actuated brake. Each brake is connected by hydraulic line to a master cylinder, and each cylinder is attached to the appropriate rudder pedal. When the aircraft is parked, both main wheel brakes may be set with the parking brake. The parking brake is operated by a handle under the left side of the instrument panel. To apply the parking brake, set the brakes with the rudder pedals, then pull and rotate the handle. Fuel selector, both. The aircraft has two vented fuel tanks, with one tank in each wing, and a 4-position fuel selector valve. Fuel flows by gravity from the two wing tanks to a 4-position selector valve. The selector valve is labelled both, left, right and off. With the selector valve in the both left or right position, fuel flows through a strainer to the carburetor. Fuel quantity is measured by two float-type quantity transmitters, one in each tank, and is indicated by two electrically operated fuel quantity indicators on the left side of the instrument panel. The fuel selector valve should be in the both position for all operation. Operation from either the left or right tank is reserved for cruise. Circuit breakers, check. Beacon, on. A flashing beacon is mounted on top of the vertical fin. The beacon should not be used when flying through clouds or overcast. Avionics switch, off. The avionics power switch must be off during engine start to prevent possible damage to avionics. Master switch, on. The aircraft has a 28-volt direct current electrical system, powered by a belt-driven 60-amp alternator and a 24-volt battery. Power is supplied to most general electrical and all avionics circuits through the primary bus bar and the avionics power switch. The primary bus is on whenever the master switch is turned on, and both bus bars are on whenever the master and avionics power switches are on. The master switch is a split rocker type switch. The right half of the switch, labelled BAT, controls all electrical power to the aircraft, while the left half, labelled ALT, controls the alternator. Normally both sides of the master switch should be used. However, the BAT side of the switch can be turned on separately to check equipment while on the ground. The ammeter indicates the amount of current in amperes from the alternator to the battery, or from the battery to the electrical system. When the engine is operating and the master switch is turned on, the ammeter indicates the charging rate applied to the battery. If the alternator is not functioning or the electrical load exceeds the alternator output, the ammeter indicates the battery discharge rate. Throttle, open 1/4 inch. Engine power is controlled by a throttle located on the switch and control panel. In the full forward position, the throttle is open, and in the full aft position it is closed. Mixture, idle cutoff. The mixture control is mounted above the right corner of the control pedestal. The rich position is full forward and full aft is the idle cutoff position. If engine is cold, auxiliary pump, on. Mixture, rich until 3 to 5 GPH, then cut off. Auxiliary pump, off. Propeller area, clear. The aircraft is equipped with a 2-bladed, fixed-pitch, one-piece forged aluminium alloy propeller. The propeller is 75 inches in diameter. Ignition switch, start. Engine ignition is provided by two engine-driven magnetos and two spark plugs in each cylinder. The right magneto fires the lower right and upper left spark plugs, and the left magneto fires the lower left and upper right spark plugs. Normal operation is conducted with both magnetos due to the more complete burning of the fuel-air mixture with dual ignition. The engine should be operated on both magnetos except for magneto checks. Ignition and starter operation is controlled by a rotary type switch on the left switch and control panel. With the master switch in the on position, when the ignition switch is rotated to the spring-loaded start position, the starter contactor is energized and the starter will crank the engine. When released, the switch returns to the both position. At engine start, mixture rich. Engine 1000 RPM. Oil pressure check. A direct pressure oil line delivers oil from the engine to the oil pressure gauge. Red lines indicate minimum idling and maximum pressure. The normal operating range is indicated by a green arc. Engine operation is monitored with the oil pressure gauge, the oil temperature gauge, a tachometer, and an economy mixture indicator. The oil temperature gauge is operated by a temperature sensor which receives power from the electrical system. Normal operating range is indicated by the green arc, and the red arc indicates maximum operating temperature. Navigation light on as required. Navigation lights are located on the wing tips and top of the rudder. They are required at night, but are also often used during the day to increase visibility. Mixture leaned max. The mixture control is used to lean the mixture. Peak EGT indicates best economy. Flaps retract. Avionics on. Electrical power from the primary bus to the avionics bus is controlled by a toggle switch labelled avionics power. With the switch in the off position, no electrical power will be applied to the avionics equipment. The avionics power switch also functions as a circuit breaker. If an electrical malfunction should occur and cause the circuit breaker to open, electrical power to the avionics equipment will be interrupted and the switch will automatically move to the off position. Instruments set. The instrument panel has a basic T configuration. The airspeed indicator and altimeter are arranged to the left and right respectively. Engine instruments, fuel quantity indicators, and an ammeter are to the left of the panel. Avionics equipment is stacked on the center line of the panel. A switch and control panel at the bottom of the instrument panel contains the master and ignition switches, avionics power switch, circuit breakers, and electrical switches on the left side. The engine controls, light intensity controls, and static pressure alternate source valve are in the center. The right side of the switch and control panel contains the wing flap switch lever and position indicator, and the cabin heat and air controls. The fuel selector valve handle is located at the base of the pedestal, and a parking brake handle is mounted below the switch and control panel in front of the pilot. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.